On this episode of the Path to Success podcast, I have an opportunity to sit down with Rob Villanueva, the CEO of Surge Realty. Rob is an extremely successful real estate broker, investor, developer, former collegiate athlete, and father and loving husband. Born and raised in Queens, New York, Rob found his love for basketball at a very young age, growing up with his brother, NBA superstar Charlie Villanueva. As he transitioned from the courts after college, he ended up taking an opportunity with ESPN in sports media before creating his own path to success in residential real estate. Join us as we dive into the specific moments that have defined him along the years and explore the insights that have shaped him into the man that he's become today. If you're navigating the Houston real estate game as a potential buyer, investor, developer, or agent, or simply considering a career pivot from the corporate world to a life of entrepreneurship, you've got a lot to learn from Rob Villanueva. Tune in to this episode of The Path to Success. Well, hey, today on the Path to Success podcast, we have my boy, the CEO of Surge Realty, Rob Villanueva, man. Welcome to the podcast studio.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for having me, brother.
Well, excellent. Well, I've known you for about 2 years now. I actually met your wife first when she came as a guest to one of my house parties. And then I got to meet you a couple weeks later, and you were like, I think I know you. I think I've seen the inside of your house on Instagram. But Rob, give us the elevator pitch. In 60 seconds or less, who is Rob Villanueva?
Well, my name is Rob Villanueva. I would say if you have any questions regarding real estate, buying, selling, leasing, property management, building, fixer-uppers, investing, I'm your guy. I have the resources, I have the experience, I have a proven track record. I'm just a phone call away. You need to reach me, 832-953-3700. And if you're on Instagram, Rob the TX Realtor, I'm your resource, I'm your guy. And whether you have someone else, I'm just checking eye if you need somebody else.
Well, good. If you need a light bulb changed, Rob's also 6'6", so he could probably reach the light bulb without a ladder. So give him a shout. He just wants to know you. Well, good. We became friends, actually, kind of on Instagram. You do a really good job of storytelling. You do a good job of doing reposts and getting engagement. And I think that in your business, the more people that know you, the more money you're going to make, right? So tell me about your business. Tell me, when you founded it, how many agents you have. Kind of give me some insight into that.
So I started a brokerage called Surge Realty 2 years ago. I got my broker's license after being licensed 4.5 years, and I just decided to go my own route. And since then, I have 42 agents, which is amazing because I just don't hire any agents. I'm very particular who I hire. So I'm at 42 now, still going. Business is good. And we just started. We're just getting started. This is only year 2, and we've done a lot with a lot more to grow.
Well, that's good. And I know you've done a great job of hosting parties for your vendors, for your clients. I myself have participated in several of the Surge Realty parties. I actually went to middle school with one of your agents, Tony Styles. You know
No
Tony?
way, yeah.
Did you know that? Did I ever tell you that? Yeah.
Wow.
So we made the connection. I'll tell you just a quick story. So DJ Tony Styles is his name. I knew him as Tyrone, which is his real name back in the day. But we were at a party that was hosted by the Entrepreneurs Organization, and it was in a $5 million house in West U, beautiful, and Tony Styles was mixing it for a bunch of rich old white people, he says. And so imagine a party starting out with about 60 people. Well, then it comes 9 o'clock, right? Thinned out a little bit. Then it comes 10. Then it comes 11. His time has passed. He's hanging out with us. One of the people actually brings out some gummies. He's an investor in this THC gummy company that's in Oregon or New Mexico or wherever. And Tony's like cracking up because you got, one lady she's talking about when she was just in Denver the week before. You got me who went to middle school with him, got a little bit of swag because I'm from A-Leaf, Texas. And then you got these other people, talking about gummies, taking gummies. And he goes, you know what, man? you rich old white people are all right, you know. But I thought it was funny because, you know, DJ Tony Styles has always kind of been in that Bell Station crowd. He's done a lot of the urban community parties, but now he's become a big local name, and he does some corporate stuff now. Especially with Surge Realty, those are a lot of corporate clients that you have at those pool parties, man. How did you get the hookup on the pool party at Lifetime?
Tony Styles.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Tony Styles. He has relationships, right?
Yep.
It's who you know, it's not what you know. And he brought up the idea, hey, I have a relationship with the guys at Lifetime, Greenway Plaza, out of all the gyms, right? The one.
The best one.
Yeah, that's the best one. So when he brought up the idea of doing like a Poochella event, I was all for it. I'm like, first of all, to get access, to put our brand in there, and then to put, you know, other brands and people in a hot summer Houston weather with a cool pool in a great location. I'm like, I'm all for it. Yeah. And then it's funny because I get asked that a lot, and Tony Styles was the one that put
Excellent. So do you ever try to tie a return on your investment whenever you host events like that, or is it just a loss leader? I know this is going to cost me 10, 20 grand. It's not a big deal.
Honestly, it's more because I'm still in a young phase in the business, is more just putting out investing, right? Putting in the money to just be seen, connect with people, build a relationship. And then later on, the seeds I planted, you know, in the early on years, is then I start seeing, you know, the fruits of it.
Well, good. Well, good. I know you well enough to know that, you know, you played ball, your brother played ball. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But talk about your childhood and kind of walk us into that. Where are you from? How early was it whenever you knew you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Or what did you want to be whenever you were a kid, and why?
So I was born and raised Queens, New York City. I'm from up north. Growing up, played sports. You know, we was in a single family household. My mom had 3 kids. It was just me, my brother, and my sister. And we was in Section 8. We was in welfare. So it was rough. But we played sports, you know. Growing up in the hood, we played sports, baseball, basketball, football. And then with the height, you know, I'm 6'6" now, but at the time, you know, I was 6'3", 6'2", and my brother was tall too. We always played ball, and we was good at it. You know, and then I'm Dominican, so then I could also play baseball. So it's in the blood. So, you know, playing up sports growing up, it was my way to get away from the streets, to keep myself busy, and then keep myself active to then strive to do something later on in life with sports. But then it eventually changed, and we're going to talk about that later.
Sure.
And then, you know, growing up as a kid, went to school, then got a job at ESPN in Bristol, Connecticut.
How did you get that job? Where'd you go to school? What was your degree? And how did you get the job?
So it's crazy.
That's like the dream job, dude, for millions of people.
So that's a good question. So funny story. So I graduated in 2005 from college. That's the same year my brother got drafted to the NBA. So when he got drafted, I had to make a decision. Do I go overseas to play basketball, try to play professional, or do I look for a corporate job? I was more on the safe side, so I was like, you know what, Charlie, you go play basketball, and I'm going to put you on TV. So then when I was applying for work, you know, I think at the time it was like Career Builder. I forgot the website. And I was applying, you know, you see all these Disney jobs and opportunity. Nobody would respond back. You know, I'm fresh out of college. And then my brother's agent had a brother that worked at ESPN, and he knew the person that did the hiring for the production assistants at ESPN. Okay. So then he connected me. I did the interview. I failed the interview, by the way. I failed it. I didn't know college sports. I didn't know football. I knew basketball and baseball.
How can you fail the interview? There was an actual test?
Yeah, so they asked you a bunch of sports questions.
Interesting.
And you have to know who won the championship, the NCAA championship, and all types of sports, golf. And I was like, oh, you got me there. So then Fred Brown, I'll never forget his name, Fred Brown. Until this day, he still wished me happy birthday on Facebook every year. He said, go back, study some more, watch ESPN, order the newspaper, and that's exactly what I did, and then come back. And then I ordered the daily news. I read the newspaper every day, the sports section, and watched ESPN every day. And then I went back, got the job, and then I was in there.
So some people go to law school and they have to study 18 hours a day. Your studying was just hanging out watching ESPN.
Yeah, and that was awesome. I mean, your meeting is like, you know, what highlight, who's going to do good,
100%.
Records. The meetings was fun. It was fun.
And this is back 05, 06, right? So it was before we had all these curated news resources where you could get the cheat sheet. You know, you're just watching that little ticker right there in the footer on ESPN, right? Who won, who's getting drafted, why they're getting drafted.
Yep.
So that's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that.
Yep.
So you left ESPN. Where'd you go after that? And then what made you eventually move to Houston? We'll talk about that.
So right after Bristol, Connecticut, I moved to Michigan. So it's funny.
Michigan. Oh, it's because of your brother.
Yeah. Here we
Okay.
go. So my brother got drafted in 2005. I never
By
left
the Pistons?
by the Toronto. So
Toronto.
He got drafted by Toronto Raptors. He had a hell of a year, and then he went over to Milwaukee, played in Milwaukee for 4 years, and then he got a big contract in Detroit. So I never lived with my brother. So you imagine growing up with your brother, we both thinking about going pro.
Yeah.
He makes it. I technically never really experienced that lifestyle, right?
Sure.
Because I was still doing my corporate stuff at ESPN.
You were in the entourage, though.
Yeah.
You weren't.
Yeah,
you weren't.
I was. I was.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. Great
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
And so then when I got the opportunity, then the market crashed in 08, 09. And then they froze everything, all the hiring. And at that time, I was in year 4. So I was like, man, this is my time to go make a move because I'm not going to stay here. And my brother's in the NBA. It's like, I just can't be here doing corporate.
Yeah.
And then I told my brother, hey, I'm thinking about moving to Michigan, but I need to get a job. I don't want to live under you and just not do nothing because, he's my younger brother, I'm the older brother. And I never want him to, make sure he's, taking care of me. So then I got a job with Fox, FSN Detroit.
Okay.
And then, I covered the Pistons, the Red Wings, and the Tigers. So once I got the job, I told him, hey, bro, I'm moving to Michigan. So I lived in Michigan for 5 years. Had a time of my life, lived in a big-ass mansion, and
because real estate crashed in Detroit after the automotive crisis of 08.
Yep.
So you could probably get a mansion for what, $500,000, even less?
Yeah. It was, but and it's funny because at the time,
Yeah.
we're not thinking like that, right? We're thinking the big house and the cul-de-sac. We got the deers. We got the big pool.
Yeah.
We got 3 floors. We got the arcades. I mean, we had it all, but we wasn't thinking.
You weren't
about
buying
everything.
for investing.
No.
Yeah.
So then I got to Michigan, and then from Michigan, after 5 years, I was done with the cold, done with snow, and then Florida was the next stop, Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
So I moved to Fort Lauderdale, lived there for 2 years.
You're still with Fox, or what are you doing
No,
now?
so I left. So that's when I started becoming an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And me and my older brother, we started a creative agency called Tivity Social.
Okay.
So creativities, it was Tivity Social.
Yeah.
And we did video production, SEOs, we did graphics, we did websites, and I learned a lot. And that's when it was a rough time of my life. And then I moved to Houston and got into real estate.
What made you move to Houston?
So in Fort Lauderdale, that's a good question.
All the memories are flashing
in
in front of your head. Yeah, you're like, it's always a girl, Jeremy.
Well, yeah. Yeah, so my wife, she's from Houston.
Yeah.
So we was dating at the time, and she was watching me going through the bumps of starting a new business, waking up, one morning and my bank account saying 0, and she moved out from Houston to live with me in Florida.
Okay.
And I'm over here struggling, but I'm still moving forward. And she threw out the idea, hey man, you should get your real estate license in Texas. And I came to Houston, I saw the movement, this is 2016, I saw everything that was going on in East Downtown Edo. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. So I took the online classes when I was in Florida, and I moved to Houston. But mind you, I moved to Houston not knowing no one, just her.
Yeah.
So that out of me I took a risk, and I was like, if it works between you and I, cool. If it doesn't, this is home for me because I moved a lot.
Yeah.
And we moved into East Downtown, and then the rest was history.
Well, I mean, when you're a 6'6", good-looking Dominican guy with a smile like that, you don't need to know anyone, man. You walk into a room and people walk up to you and say, hey, who are you? You sound different. You look different. Where are you from? You probably get that all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny. I got that downstairs at the lobby.
There we go. He said, I'm from Queens, New York. That's where I'm from. Yeah. Well, excellent. So let's talk about, you start Surge Realty. You moved here in 2016. You said you started that in what, 2020, 2021?
Yep, 2021.
Yeah, 2021. And so I had an opportunity to meet you, I think, in 2020, if memory serves. Tell us about that day of the day that I met you. Who orchestrated the event? What did you land that day? Just bring me up to speed.
Man, it's crazy because how sometimes, the world works in mysterious ways. And, that day I met you, before I met you at the event, I hired my third agent, Jasenia.
Yeah.
So we did a photo shoot, because I do a photo shoot with all my agents that join the brokerage. And then I was like, there's an event going on with social behavior. Shout out to Karen.
Oh, I love
And,
Karen.
yeah, Karen is legit. She's the truth. She's my Aries sister. We're both Aries. So, she invited me over. I'm all about showing love and, supporting folks.
Yeah.
And I told the new agent, Jasenia, at the time, hey, let's go to the event. It should be good. She knows a lot of people. The right people are going to be in the room. This is a good time for you to network, meet people, and then also, tell them, what you're doing, what you're doing in real estate. And we went to the event. You're there. We're talking. I mean, we connected right away. Your personality is incredible. And, Slim Thug is there. I get a picture with Slim. And that was actually my first time I met Slim since living in Houston. And then me and her took a picture, so then we was able to post that. So, she's excited. The two other agents are like, oh, wow, like, they're moving. Mind you, this is still young. There's only 3 agents.
They're like, Rob's connected to the right people.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then, and I know you, and you know a lot of people. So, and then it was a good networking event. And I love going to networking event where I meet good people, where there's value. I mean, look, from there, a few years later, who would have thought we would be here talking,
Yeah. Well, I would have thought that for sure. Yeah, no. Well, good. So tell us about Rob Villanueva, the real estate broker, right? What's your competitive advantage? Why do clients work with you? Why do agents come work with you? Talk me through that.
Honestly, my personality has to do a lot with it, which is awesome because it's me. It can be replicated, it can be duplicated. But I think it's because more I care about the agents. I'm not going after the money. The money's always going to be there. But I was able to learn, the 4 year I was an agent, from other brokerages and see what was missing, what they were not doing, and then I just implemented it. But I think most importantly, it's just my personality, being able to connect with folks, being able to be an open book. I mean, you could open up social media and see, my track record as an agent. I don't hide nothing. I am who I am. I'm fun.
Yeah, I think you shared that right before we started the recording. Is we were talking about Krista, and you were like, she lets me be me, right? And my true, authentic self. I don't have to walk on eggshells. I don't have to be so corporate. I don't have to fit in a box. And she supports me. She supports the lifestyle that I want to live, right? And trust that I'm going to be a provider for our family, man. Wow. So that's awesome that you found the perfect relationship, man, because I'll tell you, when I first met your wife, I looked at that woman and I was like, oh, man, she's gorgeous. But now, over the last 2.5 years, getting to know her heart and her character, man, I think you're the one that hit the jackpot there, dude.
Thank you, bro.
So
I appreciate
congratulations.
It, man.
I aspire to
shout
find
out
Krista.
to Krista, man, because I will tell you, it's hard to find someone, especially in the business that I am, to just understand, right? To understand what I'm doing, understand the mission, understand the goals. Man, shout out for her, because honestly, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be where I'm at.
Well, good. Shout out Brittany Samperi for introducing her to me.
That's the initial.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's where it all started.
Well, let's also talk about, I think the reason why Krista got to know you was because of Instagram, right? You did a post. You did a post with your brother, maybe his agent. I don't know, but talk about the power of Instagram, and then coupled with that, the power of personal branding and how that makes you money.
Yeah, so social media, honestly, it's very powerful and it's free. I push all my agents to use their social media. Some are more comfortable than others. It does help that, I'm active, I'm savvy on the social media platform. I'm always trying to keep up with the new trends. And
so you're not doing TikTok dance videos and stuff like that,
honestly,
are you?
If you go to my page, you might see a few dances. Because you see a tall guy dancing with coordination, doing the dances. You'd be like, oh wow. I'm still trying to go viral on TikTok. I still gotta work there because it's hard, man. You got all these platforms, hard to keep up. But yeah, the power of social media, it's unbelievable. I'm a proven person. And yeah, so and then when it comes to personal branding. That's a big thing. When I was with my broker, shout out to Armand, he wasn't, the Remax, he wasn't the Keller Williams, he was just his own, company, and I was his only agent. So throughout the, being under him for 4 years, I was able to learn, honestly, it's more about, they're not even asking who the company you're with. It's more like they're working with you because they like me.
Yeah.
And then the funny story is he changed the company's name without even telling me at some point midway through.
Okay.
And that's when I really oh, damn. So, and people didn't even notice. Then I was like, oh, damn, this personal branding is serious because people are more focused on you, and I could go anywhere and still, bring my followers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good. And you'd made a comment about you had a proven track record. And so you don't need to go around telling people that you're a great realtor. You just let the facts speak for themselves. Hey, these are my clients. These are the deals that I've closed. This is the period of time in which I've closed them. This is the volume. Do you want to work with the best? Because, it's sitting right here. So let's talk about maybe investment opportunities, right? Because we all live in our primary residence, right? I'm a homeowner. I live in Oak Forest. I'm under contract right now on a new home in River Oaks. It's my best friend, Chris Mastrangelo with Habitation Realty. You probably could have already thought that. But funny enough, I'm buying Chris's house. He showed me 8 houses, and on the 8th one, I walk out. It was in Hedwig Village. It might have been Hunters Creek. And I said, Chris, every single house I walk into, I compare it to your house, right? Circle driveway, 3 stories, 6,000 square feet, guest house, guest quarters, amenities, private driveway, gate. And I'm like, man, everything that I see in that, is $4 million, But he lives in, it's Afton Oaks, actually, which is on Kettering, right across the street from River Oaks District. And so I twisted his arm into selling me his primary residence. Yeah.
So you a good one.
So he charged me the I don't want to move tax, and so he's making me pay for it. Yeah, but anyways,
congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. So we close on 8:15. But anyways, well, good. So tell me about the importance of passive income, right? Where do you see people making the most money as real estate investors in the city of Houston? We'll talk residential or commercial or multifamily or whatever you see. What are you helping your clients buy?
Yep. So for me, passive income is so important. At some point in your life, you have to start thinking about, I would say, 7 forms of income, right? Because if one failed, I
have 35 here, baby. I got 35 sources of income.
So you're good. You're good for life. You're good for life.
Well, they're my people, right? So I need to protect the brand of the company, and I need to treat my people well. But go ahead. So 7 sources of income. Let's talk.
7 forms of income. Real estate is one of the main ones that I use, and honestly, it's amazing because if you know numbers, the numbers are there, the asset, you can see it in person, and there's multiple exit strategies with real estate. With my clients, it's funny because coming from New York, I started with a few investors investing in real estate in Edo, in the east end of Houston. And what we did, we ended up converting the garages into another apartment.
Okay.
So we convert,
So you're talking 3-story townhome?
So no, just a regular single-family home that has a detached garage, and then we'll convert the back garage into an apartment.
Sure.
And then you got 2 rental incomes coming up. Taxes is low.
Yep.
The price that they bought the property was under $200,000 at the time.
Sure.
Obviously, your strategy changes with with the market, and I mean now with their worth, especially in East End and Edo, is like, and this is back in 2016. Appreciation value just. So those guys are still on me, and I'm helping them invest. So real estate has been the main thing, but for me, honestly, I invest in people.
Okay.
We invested. My brother and I invested at a restaurant called Culture Houston with Marcus Davis. He owns the Breakfast Club.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
He owns the Alley Cat, Reggae Hut. Great guy. He's known in the city, and we invested in him. So we got a cool restaurant downtown. So if anybody want to, eat some nice, good food, it's located.
Culture with a K, right?
With the K.
Yep. Okay.
And so I'm big on investing in people. And,
Well, good. So we talked about it briefly before. Tell me about your story. How do you know the Olajuwons, right? So if you're a native Houstonian, This is long before you got here. But me, myself, being a native Houstonian, Hakeem Olajuwon was like the man, right?
Yeah.
The number one draft pick in the draft way back in 1984. Funny enough, people don't realize Michael Jordan was number 3 that year
you're right.
behind Olajuwon, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Nobody even remembers Sam Bowie, who went number 2. One of the few guys that's taller than you. But anyways, tell me about the Olajuwons. What's your relationship with them?
So funny story. So one, it's crazy how it works. How I know those guys. Coming from New York. I'm gonna take you back to 1994 when the Knicks played the Houston Rockets in the NBA Finals, and that's
we
the
won
year,
in 6. Ooh, there we go.
So, man, I'm still bittersweet on that.
Yep.
Because that was the one year that Michael Jordan wasn't in the NBA.
Yeah.
So we figured as Knicks fans, this was our year.
Yeah.
And then the Rockets bit us.
Yep.
94. But anyways.
That was before Clyde was here. We had Otis Thorpe, Vernon Maxwell,
Sam Cassell, Kenny Smith.
There we go.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Mario Ellie.
Yeah. So they got us. So then when I moved here, a friend of the family works at one of the storage units they have in Mount Bellevue.
Okay.
And
so they're big investors in storage
So
units.
Hakeem was investing in real estate back then.
Because we know about his car washes, right?
Yep.
And so storage units.
Storage unit in Mount Bellevue. They own tracts of lands out that way. So anyway, so then the friend of the family, tells TJ, Olajuwon, Hakeem's brother, about me.
Yeah.
Because they also do a new construction. They build plazas. They do big projects.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no way he's gonna talk to me. Like, I just moved there. I'm just getting started in the business. And then he tells her he wants to meet me. So I'm like, oh, snap. Like, this is like, okay, this is happening.
Yeah.
So, I'm probably year 1 living in Houston. So I go meet him. And we connected right from the beginning, man, because we're 2 brothers of NBA players.
Oh, yeah.
And we could relate, right? We enjoyed the benefits of being related to someone that played in the NBA, but yet we could still, be ourselves and, not be, rushed by people or ask for autographs. Like, people don't even know us, right? So we connected that way, and it was awesome. So at the time, I was getting ready to build two new construction in the east end of Houston, and that was my first 2 developments. And he said he wants to do it, and I was like, damn, like, all right, cool. Because I just had one of my contracts I just met through another neighbor friend that's a builder. Left the project. Oh, okay. So luckily I didn't give him no money. So then TJ came at the right time, and then from there.
And so he wanted to invest in it, or he owned the construction company?
Yeah, he just wanted to be the contractor.
Oh, okay.
He obviously got paid on that side. I just oversee it. I just oversee the project.
Sure.
But it was my vision. It was, I had to go find the land. And man, we bought a piece of land for like $90,000 in the East End, right off. What street was that? It's Harrisburg. And it's close to the Dynamo Stadium. Yeah. And now you can't find nothing at that price, which was crazy.
Oh, of course not.
2016.
Yeah.
And we was able to build 2 houses, and then now we're building like 4 more townhouses in the East End. So we're still, building. And then Hakeem and TJ are building out in LaPorte. So I'm helping them, sell those property and then also put it together.
Excellent, man. So you're showing that it's all about relationships, right? And that sounds like that's been a relationship that's been making you money for the last 7 years. So that's fantastic. So you talked about being the brother of an NBA All-Star, right? Talk about maybe some memorable experiences that you participated in. And you're a dad now, so you got to keep it PG-13.
Yeah.
But bring me up to speed. Some Wolf of Wall Street parties with some midgets and stuff like that. Yeah.
The parties was amazing. I mean, and it's crazy because I also was a promoter when I lived in Michigan. And we threw, I would say, the best party in Detroit. And till this day, I mean, people still, ask us to go back and throw parties. But besides the party, which was awesome, I think being able to go to the games, being able to be in the family room, being able to, sit courtside, being able to, I think one of my favorite moments till this day, it was R.I.P. to Kobe Bryant. He was at the free throw line, and I think the game was like 2 seconds left. He hadn't made the free throws, and I was behind the backboard, and I was acting like I was gonna throw a ball at him every time before he releases the basketball, and he missed it. So for me, I felt like I influenced them and made the Pistons win that game.
Yeah, nice.
So that to this day I still remember. But that was crazy.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
sitting courtside was awesome, and then meeting all the people, meeting all the athletes. Seeing LeBron up close, personal. Which ironically, LeBron played in the McDonald All-American with my brother back in 2003.
Yep.
So man, just being able to experience as a young kid, coming from the hood, was awesome.
So now let's change the subject, right? Because this is the path to success, and we want our listeners to kind of learn from maybe some of the downfalls and mistakes that you've made in order to make sure that they safeguard themselves from those things, right? And so tell me, we've talked about some high highs, right, and some deals that went right, but tell me about a time where maybe you thought you were going to lose it all.
I would say Florida, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say Florida.
Fort Lauderdale,
Fort Lauderdale,
just north of Miami.
Yep.
Okay.
And I would say because that was the first time I ever woke up and, my bank account was zero. And mind you, I had a brother in the NBA. In people's eyes, they see us like and that's anybody in general, right? That man, look at people's eyes like they're good. But that's the one time I felt like, oh man, this is bad, and Krista was with me and she just moved in to live with me. So I'm feeling like I just hit rock bottom. But I kept going. I had to do things differently. And what's crazy, not a lot of people know this story, is I ended up selling my brother's sneakers on eBay, which is, I had to get creative. My brother's a big sneakerhead. And when I sold my first pair of sneakers on eBay, I was like, damn, people will buy anything on eBay. And then after that, my ringtone went ching, 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 when I started posting on more sneakers. And honestly, that's how I was able to raise, $10,000 and then to move to Houston. And then
did he know? Did you tell him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nah, he did, because he had double the pairs. So, he had tons of sneakers. He lives in a beautiful home.
Yeah.
And, I told him, like, hey, I'm selling these sneakers. So he would come and fill up the garage with all the sneakers he don't want. And I would just take pictures, list it.
Yeah.
Kind of like a private, take pictures,
Were
list it.
Were you getting him to sign it, and were you selling them as his shoes, or you wanted to keep it separate?
No, you know what? I don't want, it was me, right?
Yeah,
I'm his brother. So, people would question, like, oh, Charlie brother. Or they'd be like, I don't know, they'll find us where we live, the shipping address, they come over here. So I was like, I just kept it, generic. It came from a generic address, and that was it.
Well, good. Well, you kind of made lemonade out of lemons, right? You could have just thrown in the towel. But really the biggest takeaway that I have from that story is everyone looks at the life you have with your wife and your son that you have today, and obviously the success and the growth of the business. But it's very important to recognize that she was there when you were at rock bottom.
Amen
right?
to that, bro.
And
she's gonna love you for that. For saying that. Like, you go, Jeremy.
She's like, I need a new bag, Jeremy. Make sure you tell him. But anyway, she makes her own money. We don't gotta. Well, good. So, what is your legacy, Rob? How do you want to be remembered, man? You do a lot of things. You know a lot of people. I know you as the guy that throws amazing parties, who's 6'6", the big personality in the room. But how do you want to be remembered?
Honestly, I want to be that, that guy that, made something out of nothing. I would say the person that came from the struggles, was able to go through all the hurdles and obstacles I had to go through to get to where I'm at now. You see the fancy clothes, nice shirt, the sneakers, a watch, but man, there were struggles behind it. And now that I have a 10-month son, Chance, now my perspective of life changed. I want to do stuff for him, make sure he's good, and have the option if he ever wants to, jump into, real estate. The platform is there for him. But the good thing with him is he'll be surrounded with influential people because of the network of people and relationships I have. But I just want to be known that guy that worked hard, loved his family. Is that guy that's happy that whenever I'm around, there's some type of memory, there's some piece that I left embed in the person's heart. And, that's me, and I apply that to my business. And if you're around me, we have a good time, no negative energy. So, yeah.
Well, good. So thank you for sharing that, man. I could feel the emotion as you were saying that. Yeah. And I think, myself, I want to be known as that person that brings a smile to your face just whenever you hear my name, because you have a memory or some type of emotion that it induces of a time that we spent together.
Exactly.
And I'm proud to say that I think I'm doing a good job of that.
No,
Let's talk about success. And I think success can be achieved in many forms, right? Money is just one way. There's other ways that you can be successful. You're in a very successful marriage. You have a beautiful young 10-month-old son. Let's talk about, in its most primitive form, how do you define success?
Honestly, I would say now that I'm older in life, like right now, I would say happiness, man,
Okay.
to be honest. Because, being around athletes, being around millionaires, and you still see them struggle, you still see them sad. I mean, some of them don't even make it far in life. And that's when I come to realize money isn't everything. I think, and especially when I go to the Dominican Republic and I see them having just a quarter of what we have and they're just happy.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Playing stickball out there in the dirt.
They're living a life and they're cool. And it's just, to me, it's just being happy. If you can find your space, whether you're married, single, kids, no kids, whatever it might be, because I feel like a lot of people hunt, but you're hunting for something that it might not even be there. It's like you need to find whatever makes you happy. And then once you get to that space, then that's it. Then everything else it just comes. And when you see a happy person, it's contagious too.
Yeah.
So I will say happy.
Yeah, and I think that it's important to surround yourself with people that are happy, right? That have a similar shared mission, vision, values, right? People that it's not really hard work to get along with them, right? Just hanging out with them makes you happy.
Right. And you can be yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, money is a resource to bring happiness, right? Money can buy a boat. Money can buy a first-class ticket to Turks and Caicos. But I think it's important to recognize that, hey, if you're a corporate attorney, you might be making $500,000 a year, but if you hate your job and you hate the people that you work with, that doesn't really breed success, right? Even though you've got millions in the bank. So, thanks for sharing that, man. So what do you think is your biggest contributor to date in your path to success? What has helped bring you that happiness or
That's a good question. I would have to pick a few people.
so you think it's people?
Yeah, I would say because I was able to learn from them and then adjust as I was growing. I was growing my business and who I was. Like I was still trying to find myself after Florida. I would say my wife and my two brothers, Charlie and Rob. I was able to.
Rob, you're Rob.
No, there's another Rob.
There's another Rob? Oh my God!
There's actually two. There's two other Robs. Yeah.
How is that even possible? It's like George Foreman, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Bro, that's been the story since.
Oh.
So it's 3 Robs and then Charlie. So it's 4 brothers. But we in different households. So me and Charlie got the same mother. And then Rob E has a different mom, and then Rob A has another mom, but we all have the same dad.
So your dad just said, I'm going to have 3 Robs.
Yeah, and his name is Rob, too.
Oh, obviously. Yeah, he didn't just pull it out of thin air. So anyways, Rob, and Charlie, and then, of course, Krista.
Yeah. So then I was able to learn a lot from them. I know, which is funny. And which is hard and confusing when we do taxes, when we get mail, especially when I was living in Michigan. We was living together, and we don't know who's who. But we have different middle names. So with them, I was able to learn a lot. My older brother, Rob, I was able to learn a lot from his mistakes, and I was able to avoid, the same mistakes that he did. And then some of the good ones, too. And then for my brother, because he went to the NBA at such a young age and became a millionaire at a young age, I was able to learn a lot, that lifestyle and what that environment is. So I was able to get a dose of that and learn a lot from that. And then obviously the relationship and the resources he had, even with ESPN, he plugged me in. And then my wife, I'm with her every day.
Yeah.
So it's like she's
by choice. Yeah. You love it. You're not complaining.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But she helps me, whenever I hit a wall or I need ideas or I need a brainstorm, she's a good person I can go to that's, has a good head on her shoulders, that's gonna give me good advice, be honest, and been a big contributor to my success.
Excellent. Well, good. So what's the best piece of advice that you think you've ever gotten from somebody else?
Best piece of advice. Um, I'm gonna have to go with time. Because sometimes I hear people say, and it's funny, I tell my agents, we don't have the time, but I feel like that's all we have is time. We have 24 hours in our life, is what you do with it. So, what you do, right? We all have similar dreams, but then we make different mistakes. So, with time, and as you get older, you realize how important time is, right? Like we start investing in things to get time. We start giving up money to get back time, right?
Absolutely.
So for me, time, when I forgot who was it was somebody that told me, start learning how to buy back time, right? Because eventually when you get married, eventually when you have a kid, you want to spend those times with your family. So, when I started Surge Realty, that's, the mindset I'm having in the back of my mind where I could have something where, then I could get my time back.
No, that's a very valuable lesson, right? I know, so I own a 37-person executive search firm here in Houston. Nice. And I have a lot of friends in the industry that maybe started their firms at the same time that I did, right? Yeah. And they might have 3 employees, 4 employees. Now, they might still be making 7 figures, but they don't have time because they're the ones that are doing the searches. They're the ones running the client meetings. They're the ones that need to be the superhero. And for me, even at the very beginning, anything that took me time, right? Yeah. I don't need to be, cutting fucking podcast videos. Let me hire somebody to do that, right? I don't need to be making cold calls. I don't need to be doing all this stuff, doing accounting. And so I'd always just delegated and elevated. That way I could focus on doing the stuff that I love, right? The stuff that just comes natural.
And that makes you happy.
That makes me happy, right? And sitting down with somebody like you, it may not directly make me money, right? I don't think you're going to hire me to find your director of operations, but in this new stage of life, it's about the relationships, right? It's about the friendships. How can I hang around people that motivate and inspire me to step outside of my comfort zone and try different experiences, to invest in new things, right? And to just upgrade my, social circle, right? And so, but it is funny because it's changed with different, I guess, stages of life, right? I was married when I was 25 years old to a beautiful, petroleum engineer. And I married her because I knew she was going to be a good, financial provider. I knew she was going to provide emotional stability. She's an amazing mother, very caring, very nurturing. That's exactly what I needed for those 9.5 years that I was married, right? And then now we look at this next stage of life, and it's like, I don't need a mom to my kids. They have a mom, right? I want a best friend, somebody I can laugh with, someone I can get dressed up with, someone that I can travel with and to just have fun with, right? Because that's what makes me happy. I never would have been able to build the business to where it is today, right? If I didn't have that structure and that accountability for those 11 years that I was with my wife. I could put my head down, I could grind, I could hustle, and I could build the infrastructure. So I kind of did it backwards. I hustled and built, and now that I'm single, and I got a little bit of money, now it's having fun, right? And then investing in those other people that can keep the wheels on the bus and to pour that fuel into the engine to make it run faster, right? Because it doesn't need to be my time anymore. Man, thanks for sharing. So if there was one piece of advice that you could give 22-year-old Rob.
Man, we're going back that.
22, baby.
22.
He's about to accept the job at ESPN. What's that piece of advice that you could give 22-year-old Rob? And I bet you I know what it has something to deal with. Buy Bitcoin, bro. Buy Bitcoin.
Funny story, man. And if Rob is watching, my older brother Rob, he's very techie. And he had a neighbor back then that told us to invest in that.
Like 2012, 2011.
At the time,
beginning of it.
You're like, no way.
You're like,
what are you talking about? Like, no, you're just trying to sell us something. And now you see this, you're like, wow, this dude. I would say I would have probably met more people, opened up the doors a little bit more to build a relationship, made myself a little bit more present. Instead of hanging with the folks I was just hanging with, I would have made myself more open to, now kind of trying to connect with Stuart Scott, Chris Bermans, the big guys that probably have a lot of experience and life lessons that they could share with me, rather than me just hanging out with the folks that in the same level as me.
I get what you're saying. And I think it maybe has something to do with the story that I just shared is you would have gotten out of your comfort zone and not hung out with your college friends, your roommates, your buddies, but start hanging around people that are maybe higher than you in education and income and social experiences, right?
Yeah.
That way they could motivate you and inspire you to kind of outpace yourself, right? Because we can get a little bit complacent sometimes, right? With just the group that we're hanging out with. So you would have forced yourself to level up in life. Okay, good, man. Thanks for sharing that. So what's maybe one thing that people may not know about Rob Villanueva? E, are you E
C,
or which?
C.
You're C, Rob C.
Yeah,
all right.
Rob C. I would say that my parents from the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
I speak Spanish fluently.
Okay.
I know how to dance it too, merengue, bachata, salsa, reggaeton. I got it. And yeah, the fact that I speak Spanish, I've caught a lot of people talking about me.
But it's your
Especially
last name is Spanish.
But the thing is, when it comes to when I'm building new construction, the workers are Hispanics. So funny story, with the two developments we was building in the East End, they was putting the roof, and I came by and I was asking a guy a question up in the roof. And he told his colleague like, "Hey, don't answer to him. He's nobody." And I was like. And then I told him in Spanish, this is my property and you're working on my land.
Yeah.
He froze, but I told him in Spanish.
Yeah.
Since he just froze. So, in the elevator, because I'm tall, like, oh, él es alto, he's tall. And then when I speak it back, they're like, oh, te hablo español. I'm like, I'm like, oh. And you know how it is, when you know you're Hispanic, they know you're Hispanic, they just like connect real quick. And they treat you differently too. Like, hey, primo, ¿qué lo que?
It's like me hanging out at your parties when people find out I'm from A-Leaf. They're like, oh, okay, you're one of us.
Down. Yeah, you're cool.
That's funny. Well, good. So you're doing a lot of things. We talked about growing Surge Realty. We talked about your real estate investments in the East End and in Edo and some other areas. And then we also talked about culture, the downtown restaurant. So what's maybe the most exciting thing that you have on the horizon that you're most optimistic about, business or personal?
Personal, I would say, just raising my little boy, my family. It's pretty cool to just sit back and watch it all plan, especially in where I came from, right?
Yeah.
And the lifestyle we live at a certain point when we, my brother's in the NBA with the partying, being a promoter, being able to now, just, grill some stuff in the backyard, watch my little kid, play around, run or walk for the first time. Personal, just being more involved as a dad, as a father. And then from the business point, just being able to create this brand, this culture behind Surge Realty that when people see it, they already know what to expect. I'm looking to, expand to Dallas, Austin, San Antonio. I'm first trying to master Houston, lock in Houston, and then expand. And then eventually, who knows, go to California, New York, Florida, because I know so many people, and I lived in so many places. And because of the relationship, that I built throughout the years, this is years of building relationship, I feel like it could help when I start, starting my business in other cities. Surge Realty is getting started. This is just the beginning. It's been amazing and a blessing to be at where I'm at. And like I said, this is just the beginning.
Well, excellent, man. Well, it's exciting to see your growth, your ambition, and you've got that growth mindset, right? And there's zero doubt in my mind that you're going to achieve all the goals that you've got in life. Thanks for coming on the path to success, Rob.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Good to see you, bro.
Amen.